time to believe in the incredible. This video is the only one you truly need if you want to begin taking control of your life right now. I am not asking you to simply believe in the incredible. I am inviting you to test it in practice, to feel it through your own experience, to witness the changes with your own eyes. The question I'm asking myself right now is this: can I control my reality? Or is this just a fantasy with no real foundation? I know that many people live with doubt. This sounds too good to be true. Can I really control my destiny? I have faced this doubt myself, but it is important to understand one thing. Doubt is also a form of energy, and it can be directed constructively if you know how to manage your attention. And the first step for you is to understand where your attention is directed right now. Where attention goes, energy flows. And that energy shapes what manifests in life. Everything I focus on becomes stronger. Everything I give my attention to begins to materialize. Let's start from the beginning. Most people live believing that the material world is the only thing that exists. They assume that what can be seen, touched, and measured is reality, and everything else is imagination. But I understand that the world is not that simple. It is divided into the material and the non-material. There is what can be touched with hands, seen with eyes, measured. And there is energy, the energy that creates shapes and sustains this world. In truth, there is no material world as such. Everything I perceive as material is energy organized by information, energy that has taken a form accessible to my senses. You could say that there are two levels of reality: the world of ideas and the world of energy. The world of ideas is information, thoughts, potentials, possibilities. The world of energy is the force that allows those ideas to manifest in physical reality. So I make an important assumption. Right now, in this reality, in its countless variations, absolutely all possible versions of my life and your life already exist. All events, all situations, all thoughts, dreams, and fears already exist in some form. They are already possible. If this is true, then what remains? Choice. And choice is made through attention. My thoughts are information. My inner state is information. My body is the most powerful transmitter of this information. If all I need to do is choose a reality, the question becomes, how do I do this in practice? When events arise that disturb or frighten me, emotions activate, and my attention starts jumping around like a monkey following those emotions. If I'm afraid of something, my attention runs there. If I strongly desire something, my attention does not go to where that desire is fulfilled, but to where there is danger, where something could go wrong. This is crucial to understand. When I want something intensely, but do not take action with full confidence that it will happen, my attention shifts away from the desired outcome and toward fear, anxiety, and thoughts that it might not happen. This is fundamental. If I do not consciously control my attention, it will always run toward negative emotions, toward familiar fears, anxieties, and doubts. Most emotions are survival emotions and emotions of the past. They become fixed, repeated, and eventually turn into the center of my inner world. To understand this more deeply, I look at my life and ask myself, which emotions have been dominant? Was it fear, anxiety, resentment, doubt, insecurity, self-criticism, anger, jealousy? Or was it joy, trust, hope, anticipation, enthusiasm, inspiration? Most often, the dominant emotions are not the most pleasant or productive ones because they are familiar, habitual, and deeply rooted in my life. They become a magnet for my attention, and their energy begins to control reality if I am not aware of the process. It is no surprise that my attention runs toward worst-case scenarios, toward anxiety, helplessness, and familiar fears. Returning to the main idea, where attention goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, reality is formed and reinforced. I imagine the universe as a vast garden. The entire world is a garden, and energy is water, living water. There is no other water in this garden. What happens if a garden is not watered? It dries out. The same happens in life. If I do not direct my energy toward what I want, I end up watering only weeds, things that are undesirable, negative, or anxious. It is important to understand this. If something in my life displeases me, I must not feed it with attention. I must not stare at it, dwell on it, or fantasize about it. Otherwise, it continues to grow, strengthen, and occupy space in my life. The good news is this: I can control my attention. If I control my attention, I control my energy. And if I control my energy, I control what manifests in my life. The key step is to shift attention away from what I do not want and toward what I do want. And here we face two difficulties. First, many people, including my past self, do not actually know what they want instead. We do not ask the main question: if I don't like this situation, how do I want it to unfold? Second, when something unpleasant or frightening happens, we often do not want to let it out of our field of attention. For example, a problematic person appears in a work environment. Thoughts about what they might say behind my back, how they might harm me or turn others against me, consume all my attention. If there's even a small vulnerability, it becomes the center of my emotional world. All energy goes into control, anxiety, and negativity. What will happen as a result? Nothing good. To change the situation, I remove my attention from that point. I do not dwell on the problem. Do not fantasize about what might happen. Do not give it extra weight. Yes, someone might say, but you could miss a moment when something should have been prevented. And that is true. This is not about ignoring obvious reality. If someone does something harmful, I respond appropriately. But I do not give most of my energy to it so as not to feed the negative. This distinction is essential. My attention is my energy. My thoughts, emotions, and states shape reality. By managing attention, I manage my life. I create events, opportunities, and new results. Every moment matters. Every time my attention shifts from anxiety to desire, energy begins forming new circumstances. This is a daily practice that, over time, completely transforms life. Focus on what you want. Attention on joy, confidence, and action. This is the key to governing life. I can become the gardener of my universe. I can direct water where it is needed, nourish what matters, and gradually see how my reality changes according to my choices and my attention. And one more important thing: attention does not just shape reality. It creates habits and patterns that later begin to control events on their own. If I learn to control my attention, I stop being a victim of circumstances and become the creator of my life. Every action, every thought, every emotion is a seed. And with the water of my attention, it sprouts and becomes part of my future. My attention is my energy. My energy shapes reality. By controlling my attention, I control my life. There is a vast difference between the material world and the world of information. This is essential to understand from the very beginning. The material world is where we act. It is the realm that requires concrete steps, actions, and decisions. Here we do things, speak, behave appropriately in each situation, and solve practical matters. But the world of information is a completely different story. The world of information is what shapes reality. And listen carefully. Information is how you feel, what occupies your mind, what you think about, reflect on, and imagine. Everything is interconnected. What you think about affects your body and your sensations. And conversely, how you feel affects the kinds of thoughts you tend to chew over in your mind. Once again, you act according to circumstances. But at the same time, it is important to remove as much emotion as possible from the situation. Act calmly, with trust, with the understanding that you have the right for this situation not to exist in your life. That your life can be as smooth, joyful, pleasant, and easy as possible. If you learn to do this, you will begin to notice surprising things. Sometimes you realize that the threats you feared never actually existed. They were created by your imagination or exaggerated fantasy. Sometimes the source of danger or an unpleasant situation simply leaves your life. And sometimes you see the situation transform, especially if you choose understanding instead of confrontation. Mutual understanding, goodwill, a simple willingness to listen, and suddenly this becomes your reality. I can assure you, even if your logic cannot grasp this today, even if your mind refuses to believe it, the moment you allow the possibility of another reality, changes will begin to occur. For example, suppose you decide to allow another reality. Gradually, you begin to behave as if the impossible is becoming possible. Situations that once seemed unsolvable begin to resolve themselves. Another example, financial difficulties. Imagine you have no stable income. You lost your job or are temporarily without money. You're frightened by unpaid bills, lack of money for food, the inability to cover current expenses. At this moment, anxiety automatically turns on. Your attention begins to concentrate on all possible problems, on frightening scenarios. What if I can't pay? What if the bills keep coming? What if things get even worse? The first step is redirecting attention. You must know where to redirect it. And here, the very question we discussed at the beginning arises again. What do you want to create? Often people try to get out of a difficult situation without knowing where exactly they want to go. If you only want to escape the problem, it will be extremely difficult. To choose a new reality, you must clearly understand. Where do I want to arrive? What kind of life do I want to create instead of the current one? Take 10 to 15 minutes. Sit down with a piece of paper. Describe the situation you want to be in instead of the current one. If it's about work, imagine having stable income, comfortable employment, the ability to solve tasks without stress. If it's about finances, imagine calmly paying bills, having resources for important expenses, feeling safe and secure. Include details that matter personally to you. Income level, quality of life, everyday comfort, emotional state, environment, relationships with people. Do not limit yourself. This is your reality, your choice, your attention. Direct it to where you want to be, even if it seems unbelievable. Even if logic resists, give yourself permission for this possibility. Important, belief is the key. If you do not believe in the possibility of a new reality, attention will not work. You will get distracted, doubt, and return to old scenarios. Now shift your attention to the desired situation. At the same time, do not forget about the material world. Act where action is needed. Look for a job or additional work if necessary. Determine which expenses can be temporarily reduced. Ask for help if needed. Take other practical steps to improve the situation. And here is a crucial point. If you simply close your eyes and say, "This doesn't exist," the situation will disappear only if you are full of faith. If you completely trust the process, if you are not anxious and do not dwell on negative outcomes, your energy will be directed toward what you want. For most people, including myself, a combination of faith and action is required. You solve practical tasks calmly, without panic, while your attention remains focused on what you want to create. Observe yourself. Notice when you begin to feel anxious, worried, or powerless. When this happens, stop and ask yourself, what steps can I take right now to change this situation? Remove emotions. Focus on actions. Shift attention to where you want to go. Create an image of the ideal situation in your mind. Imagine it as a vast, magical garden that comes alive under the influence of your attention, where you actively and consistently direct your attention. Energy begins to shape material events. Problems resolve faster when you stop sinking into emotions, anxiety, and fear. Even small actions performed calmly and confidently produce impressive results. Someone may ask, how do I know everything will work out? The answer is simple. Only you decide whether the situation will be heavy or light, long or short. Everything depends on your attention, your energy, and your actions. Problems resolve easily only when you are willing to act, when you know you will do everything possible, yet remain calm. When attention is focused on the desired outcome, not on fear and anxiety. What you do not give attention to, like a garden without water, gradually dries up and disappears. As long as you do not direct attention back there, problems cease to exist. And the good news is this: at any moment, you can choose. No matter what situation is unfolding, complex, unpredictable, frightening, dependent on others, you always have the right to choose. You are the creator of your life. And the question for you is, why don't you choose the best? Why do you continue to struggle, fear, and doubt? Why do you postpone testing the idea that your reality is truly governed by you? The magic of imagination, the power of the subconscious, these are always with you. Save this video. Return to it whenever you need to put everything back in place, whenever you need to reclaim your strength. You will receive proof that this works as soon as you try it. And now, take a situation you consider unsolvable or difficult. Ask yourself, how do I want this situation to be resolved? How do I want this area of my life to change? What kind of tomorrow do I want to see? And what is keeping me chained to this problem? Why am I not letting it go? Perhaps you are afraid of ease. Perhaps you believe that if you stop suffering, you will stop being a good person. Perhaps you do not know what to do once the problem is resolved. Write the answer for yourself or in the comments. This is your first step toward freedom and the creation of a new reality. If you found this video helpful, if you want to return more often to tools for managing your reality and developing your inner strength, subscribe to our channel, The Power of the New Me. Click the bell so you don't miss new videos that will help you better understand yourself, manage your attention, direct energy where it is truly needed, and create the life you dream of. Join our community, and let's become the creators of our reality together.